Education plays an important role in shaping a new generation that can meet aspiration and need of the country in the future. In today's world facing a crisis of moral values, the government has taken proactive steps by emphasizing on academic, personality and co-curricular aspects to achieve balanced education in Malaysia. The term of 21st century learning refers to the process of acquiring knowledge, literacy and practical skills as component of the traditional classroom. Critical thinking, creativity, collaboration and also communication are all examples of skills that have been identified as critical for successfully adapting to advanced professional environments and assisting students in thriving to this world. Other than that, 21st century learning also means that students master content while producing, synthesizing, and also evaluating information from a wide variety of subjects and also sources with an understanding of respect for diverse cultures. Students demonstrate the 3 R's but also the 3 C's which stand for creativity, collaboration and also communication. They demonstrate digital literacy as well as civic responsibility. Virtual tools and also open sources software create borderless learning territories for students of all ages, anytime and anywhere. In 2014, the Ministry of Education in Malaysia has already implemented the 21st century learning system in all learning institutions throughout Malaysia. This system is implemented in line with the mission of our country's education, which is to move toward world-class education in conjunction with foreign countries that are rapidly developing. The purpose of this project is to evaluate the effectiveness of the 21st century learning method that have been applied in Malaysia and also recognize on how this method could influence students' life and also bring the benefits to the country itself. The effectiveness of this method is often questioned given that are some problems and constraints along this method use. The problem is relating to global awareness and also teachers' teaching methods is one of the constraints in 21st century learning method. It is just not the absence of ignorance but the mastery of it that is important this day. Future leaders and global citizens will be developed using a translocal approach with a holistic view, both communities and society. Additionally, educators are required to enlighten students on global environmental, social, cultural, political and economic issues within the context of their place. Also, students must be made to be familiar with values such as respect, understanding, impartiality, and inclusiveness. The data collected through this project have the potential to be used to raise awareness on how 21st century learning method influence students' life so that they can survive until they gain a job. The importance of this implementation can accustom the younger generation to think holistically and critically from an early stage so that it can be applied in their daily life.
Thinking skills. Thinking skills are a mental process used by a person in solving a problem and process the information obtained and make connection based on information and decide by creating a new idea. As already mentioned, thinking skills are a process of a person in solving problems. In this context, a person who can use the right way of thinking skills can make connection between several vectors and combine them into one complete piece of new ideas. The most basic and simple thing in thinking skills is learning facts and recall. At a higher place include analysis, synthesis, problem solving and evaluation, which all involve the skills needed to solve the problems. There are several types of thinking skills, for example, critical thinking and problem solving, creative thinking and innovation, and communication and collaboration. Critical thinking and problem solving. Critical thinking can be interpreted as a person's ability to think rationally and relate the relationship between logic and ideas. According to Chet Myers, he defines critical thinking as thinking actively and capable of generate concept, applying, synthesizing, and evaluating information obtained from the process of observation, experience, and communication as a guide. Critical thinkers able to identify, construct, and evaluate arguments, detect imbalance in reasoning, and be able to reflect the justification of one's belief and values. Critical thinking can help us acquire knowledge, improve the theory, and strengthen argument. problem solving is the result of critical thinking. It involves the process of finding and analyze the problem to find the best alternative to solve the given problem. Creative thinking and innovation. Creative thinking can be interpreted as a method of looking at a situation from different perspectives than usual, where the proposed solution path is not orthodox in nature. In this context, creative thinking can be well stimulated by unstructured process. For example, brainstorm. Creative thinking involves two processes, namely thinking and production. If a person has an idea but does not perform an action, a person is said to be imaginative but not creative. Innovation refers to the process of create something new where has never been done by any party. Although there are different between these two processes, but they are interrelated. Creative thinking can exist without innovation, but innovation cannot stand on its own without creative thinking. Creative thinking is fundamental to the creation of any innovation. The last one is communication and collaboration. Communication and collaboration skills are very important, especially in this era. Today, study and innovation skills are recognized as skills that differentiate between students who are supplied with 21st century skills and those who are not. A learning focus that has the essence of communication and collaboration skills is very important in preparing students to face various situations in the future. Communication can be categorized into three groups, namely verbal and non-communication and written communication. Collaboration can also be categorized into several topologies, which is the main issue is not much of our understanding of classification groups other than how we use these to have positive impact on the quality of learning and teaching in schools. Effective collaborative learning requires clear goals so that each member of the group can perform tasks smoothly and quickly. Collaborative skills require a good communication skills so that they can be implemented well. Through communication and collaboration of these skills, it can provide a change to the field of learning, where students will be more actively participate in learning sessions. They can present their opinions, convey information, and build new ideas.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Sufi Zohara and I'll be talking about the effects of having 21st century classrooms in schools. First, we're going to be diving on for students. For students, they can familiarize with the use of technology in learning, such as having gadgets or tablets in their classrooms to incorporate with their everyday lessons, which can also help them be familiarized with the energy, with the technology. And of course, it helps them to know better how to use those PowerPoint presentation words, which is more commonly used now in school because they're more effective than black books and stuff. And now, students can quickly adapt and use these technology in their learning process, making much smoother progress and betterment as our generations approach a much digital era. Next, we can see that 21st century classrooms actually emphasizes a lot on not only collaboration but also independency, because it's a student's self-centered, like student-centered learning. Therefore, the students themselves have to take initiative to do what they have to do. Thus, in a 21st century classrooms, students are encouraged and trained to work together collaboratively in a group of different people, meaning they're practicing understanding, they're able to get along with people, get out of their comfort zone to work together. But at the same time, they're also trained to be independent and be able to work on their own, be able to do what they have to do. And of course, teachers will still help, but they are more of a facilitator than anything else. Next would be the effective communication between all involved parties, because as you can see, 21st century classrooms emphasis on great communication, not just between teachers and students, but between literally everyone involved. Meaning, it's not always the teachers giving output and then the student receiving input, but rather the communication goes always between teacher and student, student and teacher. It's variety of directions involved, and students and educators will be both inputs and outputs to each other, providing insights and own opinions to help each other towards a continuous goal, which is great. Next would be that the teachers, the effect it'll have on teachers. And teachers as educators can expand and work around different learning techniques. They're not tied to a certain way to teach their kids, and they're able to do new things, new ways that would be more effective and cater to those who need certain things. And for that, problem solving skills, communication skills, and critical thinking skills are one of three of the most prominent 21st century teaching and learning practices employed by teachers. As a result, educators must be worthy and willing to accept these changes and difficulties, because the journey is not easy and they'll need to be thinking or doing much harder than everyone else. Now, and the other effect that they were able to cater to different students' needs when it comes to learning. As you know, there are three of the most obvious types of learning styles for students, which is those who are visual learners, auditory learners, and practical learners, or even a mix of those aspects. And each receiving inputs in different ways, and of course, they all have different ways of effectively learning. And because of this classroom, it's encouraged that teachers are able to help them to recognize which way is the best for them and helping them learn in the most effective way, rather than the one way set that how traditional schools have been doing all this time. As you can see overall that there's actually a lot of positive impacts and effects for those in school when it comes to having 21st century learning classroom. Thank you.
In order to make 21st century learning style more effective, there are some guidelines that the parties who are involved must follow to give impact on the future society. There are 4 essential rules can be implying in this 21st century learning style that can create more excitement surrounding while learning. The first rule is instruction should be student-centered. Student-centered learning is a change of method of teaching which normally focus on the instruction given by teachers for students to obey. The objective is to develop independence learner by situate students in charge in the learning part by introducing them to skills and knowledge on how to learn a subject that is needed to measure their abilities. It is on students' hands to decide what they will learn, how they will pace their learning, and how they will measure their own learning by taking on position as the classroom facilitator. The second rule is education should be collaborative. Collaborative learning is an educational approach that uses groups to improve learning by working together to solve problems and complete tasks. Students will be given a concept and sit among groups while discussing and understanding about the concept together. All this idea and perspective from others, students will receive a complete and complex understanding in the groups which could not gain as an individual. This method of learning can expose on how to organize a group so the goals can be achieving to the students. Next rule is learning should have context. The situation or role that students engage when learning and applying new understanding is referred to a context. This usually affirmed as the real-world application which what is learned in the classroom or college can be applicable in our daily life. Students must understand how to apply new knowledge and understanding in order to transfer it. The last rule is who should be integrated with society. Social integration is the key in education system to normalize diversity in society in order to develop a knowledge. Learning does not mean only focus in the class, but also learn how to adapt in different society devoted to them. Students will be exposed toward various ethnic groups, irrespective skin color, diversity of culture and manners. This can make the student to take action in the society and involve a lot more in social work in order to serve for the community.
For 21st century learning style are, first, 21st century learning style introduced to improve our nation's quality of the education system. This education system should be filled with various facilities and latest technology. This is because the government targets students to study according to the current situation. If not, the objective of this learning style will not be achieved. Because of that, a large allocation is much needed. Nothing is free in this world. So, it is true that the obstacles faced to adapting 21st century learning style are insufficient cost. Because of that, not all schools manage to afford it. Next, the application of this technology is closer to the psyche of the student. The use of advanced and latest technology is also in line with the hope for students to be exposed to the modern facilities. The obstacles and challenges that need to be faced is the use of technology like e-book, computer, projector, and projector screen are damaged. When it damaged, it definitely needs to be repaired to ensure that students can continue learning with the available technology. Not only that, the use of technology in educational institutions must involve educators as well as in students. In this case, educators such as lecturers and teachers sometimes come from a background that is blind of technology. It becomes a big problem. They should be the ones to lead and introduce the use of technology to the students. If they are not knowledgeable or expert about that, how should they teach the students? Next, the challenges is provide learning that leads to higher order thinking skills. High level thinking skills applied among students is to produce creative and critical thinkers, human beings. Recognizing the importance of high level thinking, a skill has been introduced. These skills are intended to apply knowledge, skills, and values in reasoning and reflection to solve problems, make decisions, innovate, and be able to create something. Yet, what is the problem with providing learning toward these high-level thinking skills? The thing of being concerned is that teachers need to think of appropriate learning material. Above all, how can we solve these problems? In order to overcome the main problem that 21st century learning requires high cost, this is where the government must play an important role in overcoming problems that are difficult to solve. As a responsible body, they must provide adequate and fair and equitable allocation to all schools. The government needs to study as deeply as possible about the allocation of money required for each school. Next, apart from the government working hard to help the school, there is also an organizational body in the school called the Parents and Teachers Association. The association serves as a school assistant in various activities. The association can assist from providing ringgit Malaysia for damage maintenance and improving the facilities available. Not only that, if the association has expertise in the field of modern technology, they can ask for the person help. Last but not least, educator is someone who is definitely smart. Before students need to think this critically, educators should think about it first. In this regard, educators can implement it by constantly updating the teaching methods so that the students do not get sleepy in the classroom and always get excited.